Hi, my name is Leslie Crowley, and I'm here at the Better Business Bureau with Evie. And I'm a consumer, and I'm kind of curious about what the Better Business Bureau does for me, what I can use it for, and why I should be looking at the website and trying to find a business that I can rely on their services. So, Evie, what are the key differences between the BBB and some of the other review platforms? Why should I trust BBB's advice versus someone else's?
So the BBB, what we do is you can't pay for reviews for us, and you definitely can't pay to have a complaint removed or to give yourself 5 stars. The way that it works for us is that our complaints, just like the businesses go through a vetting process, our complaints go through a vetting process as well. We want to make sure that there was an actual interaction with that customer and the business. And the way that we do that is we request proof. Did an AI create this complaint? Our system will track that and determine whether or not that it was a bot that created it, and we'll immediately kick it out. The other thing that it looks at is it a valid complaint? And what I mean by valid is that, of course, everyone's complaint, if they have a bad experience with a business, they're more than welcome to submit it. But our AI is going to track things like Capital One is accredited with us. They get a lot of complaints that come in where consumers are like, this is not my debt. I'm not viable to pay for it. That's not a valid complaint because you made a real world decision, a real life decision to apply for a credit card where that company now gave you a loan of their money to go spend it on whatever you decided to spend it on, and now you have that debt that you owe them. That was an actual transaction that was made in the marketplace that you now have to reciprocate with the business. So you made a transaction with them, you're now doing business with them. That means that your complaint gets kicked out, because unless it's saying that they promised you 0% APR and for a whole year, and it's within the 12 months, and they're charging you 50% APR, I mean, that's a complaint. You should submit that, because that means that they were not transparent with you. They were not clear on the time that you would have 0% APR. That's a valid complaint. Saying that you're not viable for your credit when you spent the money is not.
Now, if I go to the bbb.org site, what kind of resources can I find there that will be helpful for me as a consumer?
Great question. There's so many resources on bbb.org. I know that for a lot of consumers, it can be a little overwhelming and scary when you get to the website. But if you really take the time to look it through, you'll see all the amazing things that we have. Not only do we have articles for our BBB blog up there that have valuable information like storm chasers, what to look out for, what are some signs of a storm chaser coming knocking at your door, what are some ways you can protect your house or your money in a time where you need to get your roof fixed really quickly after a storm. Those are great examples that we just recently went through, I think a few weeks ago. Another great example is Scam Tracker that we have on there. Scam Tracker is a national database that we have that keeps track of all the different scams that are going on across the U.S. and I'm pretty sure Canada. And the government actually uses that database that we have to determine what scams are going on and to do their own research. So what does that tell you? That we have that big data and people are not making the use of it that they should.
Yeah, I used it actually recently when I was getting a potential spam via a text. Mm-hmm. And I blocked the number, but I reported it through the Scam Tracker.
Yep. So Scam Tracker is very, very unique that we have because let's say one of the recent scams that I just heard about, it didn't happen to me, but I saw it on YouTube. A ring got sent to a random person, and under the ring box was a QR code. And they were like, scan the QR code to win a certain amount of money. And they weren't sure if the ring was real or not. And people were like, don't scan the QR code because it gives them access to your phone, which can then get them in there and get into whatever, online banking you have on your phone or whatever's going on. So people don't know about that. Our immediate reaction is to scan the QR code,
Right.
right? Or if you think it's a promotional item and that you got in the mail, scan the QR code. What's great about Scam Tracker is that you can go on there and research the different scams, like QR code scams, and it'll list all the different ones that are going on, and that's how you can protect yourself.
I didn't realize there was so much information on bbb.org.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if I did want to submit a complaint or a good review, what would I have to do?
So in order to submit a review, you would go online to bbb.org. We have a tab that says submit complaint or submit review, and you would go through that process. Now it is going to ask you various questions because, like I mentioned before, all of our complaints and reviews go through a vetting process because we want to make sure that it was a real people with real transactions with the businesses. And so all those different questions are going to determine whether or not your review or your complaint is going to go through. I can't exactly off the top of my head remember exactly what it is. I do think that we should all in the BBB go through the whole process so we can talk other people through a little bit easier. But it's definitely something that you're going to sit down and take the time to go through because as you're doing it, it's going to give you more time to think about your experience with the business.
Now, let's say I was looking for a plumber or a restaurant and kind of get a feel about them. How do I find them on bbb.org?
Great question. So we have a lovely search bar up at the top. bbb.org allows you to type in plumbing or plumber. And immediately what will pop up is a long list of various businesses in the area. There are lists of non-accredited and accredited businesses. And it'll tell you on the little box where an image should normally be, an AB image, it'll actually say not an accredited business or non-accredited business. And then if it is accredited, it'll say accredited business by the Better Business Bureau. And then that with each tab, because each one has a tab, you get to select it and it'll take you straight to their business profile where you can see their reviews, complaints, where they're located, how long they've been in business, and even have a link to their website if they have it.
Is it arranged alphabetically? I mean, how do let's say I have someone in mind and they start with the letter M. Would I have to zip down to the M or can I put in their name? And
you can put in their name.
Okay.
And then it'll definitely pop up that way as well.
Okay. Now, for me as a consumer, what is the advantage of me using the bbb.org to search for businesses?
There's a lot of advantages.
Okay.
A lot. One of the things I think nowadays, especially that we don't take into consideration is that money's tight for everybody right now. Every dollar that we work hard every single day to make means something to us. So if I don't do my due diligence as a consumer and go to bbb.org, a great example is I have a puppy. He's 11 months now. When I first got him, I was looking for a vet. And my first instinct, especially after starting here, was to go to bbb.org because my dogs are like my kids. I want to make sure that I'm taking them somewhere where they're going to be safe and they're going to be well taken care of and they're not going to overcharge me. And I'm not going to, be paying somebody to tell me that my dog doesn't have an ear infection when I go to my hometown in Harrisonburg and my vet there is telling me that my dog has an ear infection. So that's why it's so important for consumers to go to bbb.org because it benefits you every dollar that you're spending, every family member that you're sending to a doctor or to go get their tires checked or their car checked before they go on a long trip, your kids leaving for college. You want to get them a reliable car, but it has to be used. You want to make sure that you're going somewhere where you're not getting scammed, and you're not putting yourself or your family members at risk. And I don't think people think about it to that extent. They're like, it's just a review. It's just a complaint. It's not. Mm-hmm. It affects you a lot more than you think it does.
Right. Now, let's say I am going away and I want to look up some restaurants or whatever. When I go to bbb.org, I'm in Central Virginia, but how about if I'm going to California, let's say? How would I do
So
that?
the great thing with bbb.org is you can backslash and put in the location. What I usually do I cheat. I go Google BBB in Florida, and then the different Florida locations will pop up. I think there's 3 different ones there, and so all those different regions will come up. Or you can go to bbb.org, and there's actually at the bottom of the website you can actually put in the zip code of the area that you're going to, and it'll pop up all the different restaurants and businesses there.
Okay. Well, great. Well, thanks
Yes,
for all that information.
of course.
And I hope everyone uses the bbb.org to search for potential businesses when when you're doing some business or hire a contractor. Be sure to use them. Don't use someone that's driving down the street and knocks on your door and says, "I'll pay me half now and half later," and they walk off with half your money.
Exactly. It's good to do your due diligence as a consumer. And one of the other things that I wanted to add on that I don't think people realize, especially people my age and younger that are on social media so much, they're shopping through recommendations of influencers or Instagram ads, Pinterest ads. It is so important to go to bbb.org before you buy from anyone to see if it's a scam or not. Because lots of times, and it's an example we talked about before, luxury shopping is a big deal. One of the things that's really high right now in luxury shopping is secondhand luxury shopping because you're not spending as much money secondhand as you would in the boutiques. Well, there's a lot of companies that have popped up now that do, they sell secondhand luxury. But in order to do that, they have to go through, authentication process. And do they have the licenses to do that? Do they take the proper protocols to make sure that that item is authenticated? Because you're still spending a lot of money, maybe not as much as you are in the boutique, but you still are coughing up a good amount of your hard-earned money. So these are the types of things where it's so important to encourage other businesses. It's the consumer that has the voice. Like, let's not get confused here. Yes, businesses decide to get accredited, but it's the consumers that have the actual voice to pressure businesses to become accredited because that's how they're going to create a marketplace that starts with trust.
That's right.
If I want to go out and not worry about shopping or getting scammed online, I have to be a consumer that insists that businesses are being accredited. That means that they are going through the vetting process annually. It doesn't happen just once. They go through it every single year. We make sure that they're keeping up with their accreditation and our values as the BBB.
Is that also concerning licenses too, like a contractor?
Yes, definitely. Licenses are a big deal for us. We check those every single year. There was an instance where, I'm not going to name any names, but there was a nurse. She did not realize that her nursing license had expired. And we were trying to contact her, and we finally got in touch with her, and we were like, you need to look at your license. Your license is expired. You've been practicing with an expired license. And she said, oh my goodness, I had no idea. Thank you for letting me know. That could have been really bad. Yes, it could have. It could have been bad for you, and it could have been bad for your patients.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Geesh.
Yep.
Speaking of that, if I'm looking at businesses, what kind of accreditation process are they going through we mentioned licenses and those types of things, but what else do they have to go through so I know that they are a trustworthy business to deal with?
So one of the things that you should feel safe about when you shop an accredited business as a consumer is knowing that part of the vetting process is that we do the background check on them. We see how long they've been in business. We look at the history of their reliability. We look at the history of their complaints and their reviews and how they've interacted in the marketplace with consumers. And we check, of course, their licenses. We check to see, how many times have they changed their location? How many times has the business changed hands to different owners? We look at these things and we take those into consideration when a business is going through the vetting process. And that's important as a consumer because just like I'm going to use an example that might seem silly, but when you're dating, you ask somebody, how many relationships have you been in? And if they're like over 100, well, you're like, that's a little concerning. It's a bit of a red flag for me. I don't know if it's something that I'm okay with. And as a consumer, it's something that you think about. Why have you changed locations so many times? Why has your business changed hands so many times? What is it about this industry that's difficult for you to maintain it or keep employees? And that's another thing. If you're looking for a job and you're a potential employee, It's really important to go to bbb.org. It gives you a glimpse of what the culture is like in that business, which is really important.
Definitely.
Because not only as an employee are you investing your time to go through the interview process and to go through the training potentially that you could be doing there, but you also want to make sure that the culture and the values of that business align with what you are looking for in a workplace.
That's a very good point. Now, I know the Better Business Bureau has been around for a long time. How long has been? I mean, I remember grandfathers talking about Better Business Bureau.
Ooh, the Better Business Bureau has been a long, like over 100 years, 113 I think we're coming up on, if not already there. And that's a long time. For a nonprofit, we are not funded by the government. We are fully nonprofit. What money we do make is the accreditation fee that we get from the businesses. And that goes towards our data that we collect. It goes towards Scam Tracker. It goes towards bbb.org, the business profiles, creating facilities like this that are safe for consumers to come in and have conversations, like through our new Ignite program, or being able to pay the staff that can call these businesses and keep in contact with them and say, hey, you got a complaint about this. You need to respond to it. We need to know what happened so that we can get this problem solved ASAP, and be able to, create a marketplace that starts with trust.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned Ignite. What's that?
So Ignite is our new program. We just adopted it. We're the first Better Business Bureau on the East Coast to adopt the program from Phoenix and San Diego. They started a little over 10 years ago, and the program is a way for the Better Business Bureau to have certain conversations that we just can't have every single day with the consumer and with the businesses. And what's great about it is we have like the podcast studio. We have the collaborative suite and the board suite. These are all rooms that non-accredited businesses and accredited businesses and regular consumers can come and work in a safe space and have conversations and network on social issues like mental health, food insecurity, fentanyl and alcohol abuse. What's another big one? Financial literacy, which is a big one, that one of our pillars that we have here. These are all important conversations, and we host them once a month. And actually, we have one coming up September 18th. We're having 4 different conversations that day from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nobody has to stay for the whole day. I know that's long, but the 4 different conversations, if you are interested, you can go to the Better Business Bureau Serving Central Virginia LinkedIn, or you can go to my LinkedIn. It's Evanthea Karageorge, and you can see that I've posted, information about the event coming up. And you'll have mental health, which is the first conversation we're having in the morning, employment and leadership, and then media, marketing, and consulting, whether or not that's a good fit for your business, and nonprofits. And you're probably wondering, why nonprofits? Because we are a nonprofit. We support other nonprofits. We want to be a liaison for them, but we also want to make sure that the consumer is donating and volunteering their time to a nonprofit that's actually walking the walk and talking the talk.
So if I want to find out some information about that, LinkedIn is a good place to look, as well as where would I find the podcast?
So you can find the podcast on Spotify. It's BBB Sharing on Spotify. And if you are more of a YouTube person like me, you can actually go to YouTube, and it's BBB Sen VA, and that is our Better Business Bureau channel for Central Virginia. You can actually see all of these podcasts that are posted up there, and all of our past Spark conversations that we've had on different social issues.
Thanks. That's great information. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leslie.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.